in the back. Matt December says there is no audio in the stream.
Yep, I just.
You got it?
Someone muted it, I just
Okay,
undid it.
we're good now.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are pros. Okay. Any community comments? All right, we'll move on. Receipt and acceptance of resignation letter of Scott Palmer. Phyllis is going to read Scott's letter of resignation.
Excuse me. Commission members. Subject resignation from Washington Bruce Romeo Parks and Recreation Commission. This letter is to inform you of my resignation as member and chairperson of the Washington Bruce Romeo Parks and Recreation Commission, effective September 22nd, 2023. During my brief tenure with the commission, it has become apparent to me that I cannot commit the time, energy, and leadership necessary to lead or participate in this important group, given my professional and personal commitments. I appreciate being chosen for this position from such a qualified group of committed citizens, and I am disappointed that I cannot fulfill this obligation. I hope that the commission considers appointing another person from the applicant group to take my place. Regards, Scott D. Palmer.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Scott. I thought he was a perfect guy for the job. He did a very good job. He's a very good guy. So we're going to move on, though.
Now, I will make a motion to receive and accept Scott's resignation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, the next item is a discussion and decision on how to proceed to fill the board position vacated by Scott Palmer. We did get a letter, if you will, from Mr. Kopp and Mr. Tremblay, who were the drafters of the interlocal agreement. And just to clarify any questions that may have been out there regarding replacement of commission members. And basically, it is the commission's responsibility to replace the members in the same numbers, obviously, as they are in the interlocal agreement. That being said, then, those recommendations, if you will, go to the township boards for like a ratification. The township boards, if I understand this correctly, have then the responsibility to replace the alternates if that needs to be done. Does anybody see anything different or have a different idea of what our responsibility is in replacing? Mr. Stern?
Well, I do have a comment.
Okay.
And I need to preface my comments in just saying that, the interlocal agreement controls. And I had no role or input into that. And it was adopted by the Washington Township Boards and the Washington Township Board and the Bruce Township Board. So although I do have an opinion, not sure my opinion matters because my opinion doesn't govern this. It's ultimately the townships who are the parties to this agreement and construe what it says or doesn't say. I generally tend to agree with, looking for it now, but the memo that was sent by Mr. Kopp, thank you, I thought I had, it's probably clipped here. Mr. Kopp and Mr. Tremblay sent over, I generally agree with it. I read it a little bit differently than the way
Sure.
you just construed it. I mean, I think ultimately, to cut to the chase, the filling of the vacancy, the selection will be made by the Washington Township Board. That's how I read it. I don't think the agreement really contemplated this situation. It's a little awkwardly worded, and I think Mr. Kopp and Mr. Trombley recognize that as well. They kind of reached the same conclusion I did when I first found out on Monday that Mr. Palmer had resigned, and I looked at it and I thought, okay, it really isn't worded well for this situation. It didn't contemplate that there would be a vacancy during the initial term of members, and it's impossible to go back to how the commissioners were originally appointed because the former board no longer exists. It's gone, it's defunct. So then looking ahead to, well, what happens afterwards? Like, okay, once we get past the initial term, as this goes on over the years, who makes the appointments? And to me, the agreement reads pretty clear in that regard, that if it's the Washington Township delegate or representative, that Washington Township Board makes the selection of both the successor commissioner as well as the alternate. And then the same holds true for Bruce Township to the extent that they need to fill positions. So having said that, I think Washington Township Board makes the decision, but it is certainly their prerogative, and frankly I would think would be welcome to them to have this commission serve in an advisory role, and to the extent you have recommendations or can assist with the selection process to fill the vacancy, I think that's fine. I just want to make clear from my interpretation would be that it's the Washington Township Board ultimately that makes the selection.
Right.
And we're more in a recommending role, and they can
Right.
either accept the recommendation or not, or ignore it altogether, or whatever. It would be completely up to them. I would expect that they would
That
place
was
appropriate weight on it.
kind of how I,
But just so there's no misconceptions, at least my view is if this group, if this commission comes up with somebody that you think should fill a position, I don't think you make the final call. I think it's the
Right.
Washington
No,
Township
I-
Board makes that call.
Well, okay. I guess it reads a little different to me from Mr. Kopp, that we make a decision and then the Washington Township Board just ratifies it, same as when we were put on. That's Mr. Kopp's interpretation and Mr. Tremblay's. He says very plainly in number 4, the current commission members and the alternates should vote on who should fill the open seat.
No, I understand that's what he's saying it should be, but above that, he says, we didn't really contemplate
Right,
this, so he's suggesting what it should be.
Okay.
And that's fine, and that's what I'm saying, ultimately, the townships need to determine what they want to do if there's no agreement
okay.
on this. But I'm just saying, ultimately, the decision is the township boards, not
Okay,
so to
not us.
move forward, if I understand what you're saying, we should basically get together with the Washington Township Board and see what their ideology is on doing this replacement, if they're going to want us to solicit and select candidates and interview candidates like was done with us.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think that makes sense. Did I read or hear correctly that Washington Township Board meets, is it next week?
Wednesday.
yes.
So, it's not like it's a
Right.
month of
But
Sundays before we
we're
get
too late
there.
to get on the agenda.
I think certainly, since we're convened here today, it's healthy to talk about it and make suggestions. I mean, I think it'd be wonderful and probably appropriate if
Right.
this commission was asked or invited to play a role in a significant way as to how this should be handled and how the selection process, the application process, and all that should go. But given that the township board is meeting, as soon as next Wednesday, I mean, apart from, we'll have the discussion here today, but I would suggest before you start implementing any steps and so on, that maybe you wait till after next Wednesday's meeting, see if the township board sees it the same way, or whether they're going a whole nother direction, or what, just so people aren't wasting time, or that we've got
Right.
duplicate processes and confusing the heck out of community members, that kind of thing.
We are too late to make the agenda for next week.
I'm going to be there. Does it matter? Can I
Yes.
bring it up?
Yeah, I don't see why you
Well,
can't add it
you
to the
could-
agenda.
No, their agenda gets locked
Yeah.
at noon on Friday, unless you can convince one of the Washington Township Board members to add it when they get to the consent agenda.
Okay.
But as of now, it's locked. And again, I had 3 more emails with Mr. Kopp in which he said we should just proceed.
That's the way I understand it.
We should just what?
We should just proceed. Because I asked him specifically, your letter did not mention when the Board of Trustees would be making their determination, and I asked him if he was going to put it on their agenda. He came back and said, our letter says that the commission will review candidates and make recommendations to the Board of Trustees for their ratification. Once the commission is done, it would go on the Board of Trustees agenda. So I said again, so the commission can proceed to seek applications in conjunction with Mr. Praviti. I apologize for bothering him. And told him I want to make sure we're not overstepping. Gary said, as I see it, the commission will request candidates from Washington Township, at the same time reviewing past candidates and resumes. You will need a deadline for the new applicants. Once done, review in an open meeting, then make the recommendations to the Washington Township Board of Trustees. So,
I get that, but my point is that's Mr. Kopp, and he's
Yeah.
one of
Okay.
5 on the township board, and
7.
I'm not.
7, yeah.
7.
I'm not in a position to say whether he
Yeah, okay.
speaks for the whole board, or whether he's one voice and there are 4 others who see it a different way. That's the only reason I'm saying, we're only talking about a few days.
Right.
You're basically 3 business days away, so I don't think we're really losing any time. I'm just suggesting just pump the brakes a little bit through
Sure.
Wednesday. I realize it might not be on the agenda, but everybody's aware of it. And, there could be some discussion directly or indirectly is all. And if not, then, you folks keep proceeding as you see fit until someone stops you. So,
What I don't like is this was formed to pull the townships away from it, and the townships got involved by placing the application in a deadline. And we were all given a ton of time to apply, and I feel like it's just being pushed along. And I would like to hear from the board as to why they feel that date is important. Because it's pushing us to the next meeting. I mean, the 16th is basically 2 weeks to get applications, and I think our applications were, if I'm not mistaken, 2
quite a
months.
lengthy time.
Yeah, 2
And I
months.
I think it was
even
2
got-
months, yeah.
Yeah, 2
Didn't
months.
it? I think it even got extended after the
Yeah.
original date, as I recall, as I think back. That was right around the time I was coming on board.
Yeah, I just,
I can say that Mr. Praviti picked that date because he felt it would be the Monday before their next Wednesday meeting. So if they have to be involved somehow, then they could deal with it then, because there's only 1 meeting in November of their board. And it's not till the middle of November, so he was thinking we didn't necessarily want to drag it out that long. But hey, it's fine, whatever.
I understand, and it's fairly common, although we don't, it's not in the interlocal here, and we're not subject to a a city charter, and in fact, we haven't even finally approved our bylaws yet.
Bylaws,
We're
right.
still in draft stage, but I can tell you just from my travels and experience over the years, it is fairly typical, whether you're talking about city councils, township boards, other, planning commissions, boards, commissions. Usually the target is to try to fill a vacancy within 30 days. It's usually the target, if not the mandate. So, I'm not necessarily suggesting, geez, we have to, come up with our favorite candidate today and make a recommendation so
Right.
Washington Township can appoint that person next Wednesday. But I don't think you want to find yourselves here on Thanksgiving,
Right.
and we're no farther ahead and we still have an empty seat there.
When I don't.
And it's not really empty because we
We have
have
an
an
alternate.
alternate, but you just want to get the board settled, I'm sure.
Right. Well, and I don't want to drag it out, but I don't want to rush it either.
Exactly.
I mean, we do need to make sure that we give any interested parties an opportunity to apply. I don't think that we should just look at past applicants. I
No.
mean, let's see if we can get some.
Ultimately, I mean, procedural stuff, we gotta,
Right.
we have to decide on the procedure, and that's all fine and well, but I think we all know the ultimate goal here
Yep.
is we want to have a fair process.
Yep.
And we want to, give everybody a chance, and we hope that the process will result in the selection of a willing and very qualified
Right.
candidate. I mean, that's ultimately
Right.
what we're trying to get to. It's just how to get there is what what we're talking about right now.
So, I think you go to the meetings, or you?
Well, I'm going because I have to present the financials.
Okay.
So I will be at the meeting. I'm
I
on
mean,
the agenda.
I would think that it would be appropriate to at least, broach this subject and see what the feeling is. And if we get enough candidates by the 6th, I mean, I think Mr. Praviti was just trying to be helpful. I don't know, I'm not involved in Washington Township politics, so, but by putting that out there, and I know that in talking with Phyllis, we do have some candidates that are still interested from the last go-around.
Two.
So,
Three
yeah.
now.
Three?
Three now.
Yeah, he pulled out though, so he's got to apply again. Who?
I still have his application. It was still on file.
Oh, well,
But I did ask him
think
to
it
fill
was-
out a new one anyway.
Yeah, I think
So it's coming.
Dan's email said that since he withdrew from the last selection process, that he would have to.
Well, he did. I asked him to do that, and it's already done.
I mean, my thought, if I may just offer, volunteer it, is that although that's all helpful information, but I think there's been enough time has passed. We've got an existing board now, it wasn't like before, where we're looking to create this new thing. Time has passed, you may have had, people over the last few months who maybe weren't interested, involved before, maybe weren't even residents and now involved. I mean, to me, it would make some sense to have everybody fill out a new application and not just rely on the applications that are now, in some cases, many months old.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, there's currently three who have said yes, and another one has contacted me and is deciding whether they're gonna put their name back in or not, so. Well, I guess if Cindy, since Cindy's gonna be reporting anyway, and if she can approach one of the trustees to put this on the agenda when they approve their consent agenda, so that it can be discussed at their meeting on Wednesday, then that's fine.
I think also, along with that, maybe we should be a little more specific and ask for them to, if they would accept this process that Gary and Mike
Right, I
Trombley,
agree. Yeah,
that
that's-
would be,
yeah.
that would be the,
Absolutely.
Throw it out as
Yeah.
an open question.
Right.
say,
Right.
Here's the recommended process.
Yes. Do you
Are we
agree?
all-
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement with it? And if so, this is the way we'll go.
Yeah, they all have it on his original letter. He sent it out to all of the
That'd be the
trustees.
easiest
so.
and best way, I think, to go about it.
so do you want to add that to your motion? Or were you making a motion?
I didn't, but I will.
Okay. Declare it, did you
I
have something to
will
say?
make
Well, I
a
just-
motion to have Ms. Knight contact any one of the trustees, I'm assuming Mr. Dekowski or Mr. Kopp, to see if they will move to put this on the agenda for Wednesday and clarify the Board of Trustees' stance on how we should proceed.
May I suggest just a
Yep.
procedural modification? It creates work for you,
That's fine.
Ms. Zimmerman. But as opposed to just a motion asking Cindy to ask the board, why don't you consider as a commission tonight adopting a resolution, basically saying those things, and have that resolution presented, Cindy can pass, or you can send it
Okay.
directly, but I mean, it would be a resolution from this commission tonight to the board, asking to have it considered at the October, whatever next Wednesday is it the 4th?
Fourth.
October 4th meeting to consider the procedure for filling the Parks and Recs Commission vacancy, and specifically whether to approve and authorize the process as outlined in the Kopp-Trombley memo, and just turn that into a one-page resolution that I know you'll probably have it done by 8 in the morning tomorrow, from what I've seen in the past. Don't want to hold you to it, but I've been pretty
Probably
impressed.
5 o'clock this evening.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'm giving her-
Depends on how fast we get out of
I'm
here.
giving her the chance to maybe have a margarita after the meeting or something. But in any event, just something like that that can be then transmitted as an official resolution from this commission to the board, and isn't just Cindy going up during public comment saying, please.
No, I'm
please will you consider
on
this?"
the agenda, it's
Yeah.
not comment, but.
Exactly. And I mean, they can say no to it, but I mean, it would be, that's really the way for this commission to, officially take an action, asking the
Right.
township board to take an action.
Yeah, we don't want to,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants us to be an independent body when it's
Exactly.
convenient.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to
Exactly.
control us when it's convenient as well. And we are basically a subsidiary of the townships.
Exactly. And you would transmit that to, well, really
And-
both, it should go to both townships, but be directed to Washington Township with
Okay.
a copy of Bruce.
So the very beginning of that, what you said I should put in the resolution, give me that again. I know I got to quote, ask
Be a
them,
res-
will they?
yeah, Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to kind of incorporate your motion, that it would be a resolution of the commission, of this commission requesting the Washington Township Board to consider at their October 4 Township Board meeting, to consider the process for filling of the current vacancy in the Parks and Rec Commission, and specifically whether to authorize proceeding with the process as recommended in the memo from Kopp and Trombley.
Got all that, Phyllis?
You can clean it up. Just-
Actually, I do. Okay.
Would you put
so-
in there current and future, so we don't have to go through this again?
What, current and future?
Vacancies?
Oh,
Well,
Good i-
right, well.
Good
sure,
idea.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, because,
We
yeah.
don't want to reinvent the wheel every
Yeah.
time this comes
What
up.
happens once can happen again.
Hopefully it
I mean,
won't.
over time, well, it will happen.
Sure.
Yeah,
And
well-
every board and commission, things happen. People have to resign or leave for various reasons, or they get sick, or they move, or whatever. So it will happen again eventually.
Okay.
Hopefully not.
So
soon.
my first motion will be then to authorize Ms. Knight to represent the commission at the board meeting, at their board meeting this Wednesday, to discuss the resolution regarding vacancies.
That'd be fine.
That's my first motion. Then I have one final.
Second.
Oh.
Wait for the second one,
Yeah,
to second.
I thought there was more to come. Okay, all
Nope, that's it. That's
right.
that one.
Everybody that agree? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So my second motion will be to adopt the following resolution. Requesting that okay, wait a minute before I do that. Should we make it both townships approve the procedure so that if it ever happens, it's a Bruce person resigning? So
Well,
the resolution should be both townships?
but I don't think.
Because you
They're
said
not meeting
current-
to the 18th.
Yeah, Washington Township, I mean, I guess
Well, right,
we
but
would do a
it's still
separate
a-
one to each one,
Oh, we got it, okay.
I would
Or
think.
maybe do it, yeah, that's a good point. Asking, Washington Township at their
Okay,
October 4th meeting and Bruce Township
Okay.
at their October whatever
Eight-
meeting
right,
18.
okay,
to do, and then,
Just
yeah,
17.
and then we'll
Okay.
send the resolution to both.
I
okay.
think it's the 17th.
Okay, so I'm asking to adopt a resolution, actually to both townships, but one will be to Washington, asking them to consider this resolution on October 4th for current and future, for the process of filling vacancies for the current, any current and future vacancies. And to specify whether they are authorizing the process drafted by Mr. Kopp and Mr. Tromley on September 26th.
I'll second that.
So I'm going to be in Bruce. I haven't put on an agenda yet, so I'm going to be at Bruce on the 18th.
18,
Yeah.
yes, okay. All in favor? Say aye.
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 So when you went on the agenda, did you do it for the director's quarterly report too? Because we were going to do them
I
together.
just did the budget.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were going on there or not.
Well, we had talked about it earlier. I thought that was what we understood.
I didn't put us both on there. I just put me on there because they've been asking and asking, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on yet, so I got to get on it, but I did go on it.
I'll just do it.
So what are they asking for just the quarterly report, or are they asking for where we stand
They
with the
put it in
budget?
the last bylaws, they wanted specific dates,
Right,
and they don't know what they want, honestly, because
Right.
it's never been presented.
Right.
So I had Berna do a couple different ones, and I sent a couple different ones. So I don't know exactly what they're looking for.
okay. I mean, I would, if we're operating within our approved budget.
Yeah, I did that.
What's the,
Yeah, where we are on the budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's the report?
Well, the report is just a revenue and expense. We
Oh,
have it every
okay.
month. And the
Okay.
commissioners always got a copy
Okay,
of our monthlies when they come through, so.
okay. Because I just, in case any of the Bruce Township people ask me,
Yeah.
I can tell them.
Yeah, I called Stan and asked him if he could give me what was presented before.
Right.
And he said he didn't see anything. All they ever seen was the AP and then the actual budget. So,
The commissioners always got it.
no, the board. the
Well, I know,
Board of
but
Trustees.
I don't know what the commissioners brought to the board, but they would have copies of like our revenue and expense, because they normally
I
put
don't
them
think they
side by
ever did. I
side.
don't think they ever took anything.
Oh, well, they get them though.
The Washington Board, Washington Bruce Board?
All of the boards, all of the commissions, when I get the revenue expense reports, I put them side by side because I need to look at them as well to see where we're at. So the commission gets them, and they would get the investment reports as well. The reconciliation sheet that I'm pretty sure you have.
That one I don't have.
Will you sign it? I believe we have those
The
signed.
AP?
No, not the
list?
AP, but the resolution that shows like how much is in our bank account and where our CD.
Is that on there?
Um,
I don't think I have.
Yeah,
On the reckon. on
I
the-
just had you start signing them. I guess I can forward them on Monday, where I balance the accounts and you sign off that you've seen the bank statement and,
It's like compiled on a paper that shows the,
Well, why don't you send it to
you know,
her so
maybe
she
I
got it?
haven't given those
I don't
to her
think
yet.
so.
I think
oh, maybe I did.
I just basically get the AP. That's all
Okay.
I get.
I think you're going to get them.
Okay. And then I can give them to them, and I can bring them here.
Yeah, each time I balance the month, you
Okay.
will get to sign off on the checking account reconciliation, and then with our investments, like together, the total
Okay.
dollar amount. And it'll match the trial balance that you get to present.
Okay.
I don't know, because you're going to be there before I am done with September, so.
Well, and that's why I had you do the end of August,
Right.
because their meeting's first thing, and I have to be on the agenda the week before. So the October will be the end of August. That way, it's a month ahead, so it'll just continue that way.
Okay.
That way, we're not rushing to get it to them.
Yeah, well, it would be impossible.
Exactly.
The month isn't done, but
Yeah.
yeah. So once I'm balanced, you'll start seeing those.
Okay.
When you come in for the checks.
All right.
Okay. Great. We need to stay on,
Yeah.
on the agenda, since it's a special meeting, so we really can't get off the agenda. So, I think we have covered number 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. So on to number 6, which was a discussion and decision on check signers for Parks and Recreation and STAR. Cindy?
I have from Michelle, so we all have to sign it, I just need to give them this along with a letter, and I was going to draft the letter, but then I was like, I don't know, if you should draft a letter, I should draft a letter, Phil should draft a letter, removing the other STAR people.
Probably should.
Yeah, because they don't need them there, but they basically need to
They
come
need
off.
some documentation.
So, and I didn't know how to move forward with Dan, because Dan is a signer on STAR, but he's not on Parks and Rec. So, you know, if the seat isn't filled, this was my concern, if the seat isn't filled, let's say we pick someone, they don't pick them, then we're still sitting with the alternate. Or do we just say the alternate doesn't have signing? And if that's the case, then I remove Dan from STAR. So Lisa, or Cindy, Kraft, Philbrook, and Dan are all on STAR. So they need to come off, we need to go on, we can just do this. So I need a letter removing them, and then from Parks and Rec, I need to know if we want Dan added, and we need something removing Scott.
So would his letter of resignation,
I did ask her, I asked her if I could just give her that, and she said that's personal, so they would just prefer a letter.
They have their list of boxes to check. Even though what you're suggesting should do it.
Exactly,
but
that's
it
what I
doesn't-
thought would work.
Doesn't fit within their checklist, they want a letter, just give them the letter or else we'll get nowhere, right?
Okay.
So I mean, if it's okay with the board, then I can just draft the letter and sign it. I don't think we all need to sign
Yeah,
it.
Cindy, if you want to just draft it and run under my
Okay.
eyes, that's fine.
All right.
Just email it to me and I'll do a quick look back. I'm sure you know what
Did
it
you
is.
run down the list of people we're removing from Star? So
We're removing Mike Philbrook, Cindy Olson, Dan Dikowski, and
Lisa Kraft.
Lisa Kraft.
No, Susan.
No, Susan Kraft. Susan Kraft.
Oh, Susan Kraft.
Yeah.
How it all happened.
Okay, and then we're removing Scott from
From Parks and
Parks and Rec.
Yep.
And now the decision is whether to add Dan Nickowski, right?
Does that have to be made immediately or can that be
Oh.
supplemented later?
Well, the only reason I say that is because if we're removing all these people, we remove Dan, we just remove those four, and that way Star is clean.
Right.
Um,
No, and I get that, but in terms of, for the second part.
Dan,
you said-
he's talking about
Should the
adding,
alternate
should
be
we
added?
add the alternate?
Why don't we just hold off on that a little bit to see how this
Okay.
is going to play out? We may have a better idea by next Wednesday night
Okay.
as to whether this is going to be a relatively quick process or not.
Okay.
And, you know, if we know we're going to have someone in fairly short order, you know, hopefully by this time next month, then we'll just add that person in.
So remove Dan. We might as well just remove Dan. If
I
we
think
decide
so.
to add him,
I
we'll
think
add
so.
him at the next
And
meeting.
if he has to be added back in, so be it.
Yeah.
Because he's not he is on the Parks and Rec side.
No, he's not
Oh,
on
he's
Parks
not.
and
Not
Rec,
yet.
but he's on
Oh,
Star.
Okay.
And we need to get
'Cause
those
he
four.
was to remove him from the park. Okay.
Yes.
And I'll make the motion to complete the bank card as Cindy has requested, have Cindy draft a letter, removing Scott from the Parks and Rec accounts, removing Cindy Olson, Mike Philbrook, Dan Dikowski, and Susan Kraft from the Star accounts. And we're going to table the issue of Mr. Dikowski for Parks and Rec until another day.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I therefore make a motion to adjourn at 4:10 PM.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thanks.